I am super, super stoked for what is in this box. Um, Anybody who knows me and has known me for a while knows I am a huge fan of horror films. I love all the 80s franchise stuff like Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Child's Play, Leprechaun, Critters, all that stuff. And um, back in, I think it was July? Maybe it was July? It was over the summer. But Shout Factory, which, if you're not familiar with them, Shout Factory is they're kind of a movie house, and they put out some really, really awesome, like, collector's editions, Blu-rays, and they do a lot for the horror. They actually have a subsection called Scream Factory, and they put out this really amazing Halloween box set a few years ago that had buku stuff in it, and I snagged that whenever it came out. I got the Holy Crap limited edition, like with 16 disc, and it was the first time you could get the producer's cut of Curse of Michael Myers, and they had all this other great footage that was exclusive to the box set, and it was like kind of the first time that like Universal and Miramax and a whole bunch of studios like got together and collaborated. I think at the time Anchor Bay owned the rights to some of the films, and yeah, it was like this massive collaborative effort. But anyway, Friday the 13th has been in some financial turmoil over to who owns the rights to the franchise, basically based around the first movie. So it's been tied up in a lot of legal mumbo jumbo. It's put a stall on releases for DLC for the video game. They canceled a lot of stuff that would have been really cool for the Friday the 13th game. There's been action figures that have been stalled. I know NECA had some problems releasing a toon version of Jason. That got put on hold. Development of a new film has been... They actually started developing a new film, and then the legal thing went through, and after about, I think it was a month of pre-production, they had to kill it, and like put a lot of people out of a job. They were developing a TV series. If you go look on the internet, there's actually some behind-the-scenes stuff where they did molds of Jason Unmasked, and it looked really, really cool. But the franchise itself has been released over the years in various box sets. You had, I think there was one that was called From Crystal Lake to Manhattan that had the original 8 that were released by Paramount, and then after Jason Takes Manhattan went to shit, the rights went over to New Line Cinema, and they had Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, Freddy vs. Jason, which was originally supposed to be Friday the 13th Part 7. That's a whole cluster screw of things too. And then you had the Friday the 13th remake, which came out in 2009, and ever since then, there hasn't been any new movies. But anyway, Shout Factory announced that they were coming out with this phenomenal Friday the 13th box set, and I actually have the old Friday the 13th box set that came into 10 that had all the movies in it. And there for a while, that set was going for like $300-400 on eBay because it went out of print, and because of the financial issues, it was no longer going to be in print, and it was the only way that you could get all the films in one set. So this comes along, and they're announcing all these awesome special features. There's 4K transfers of the first 4 films, and then I think Jason Goes to Hell, they did 2K scans of the inner positive on the director's cut. You had the uncut version of Friday 1. You had the uncut version of Jason Goes to Hell. But the biggest thing, at least for me, and I know for a few other Friday fans, is that there has long been rumored this uncut footage from Friday the 13th Part 2. And there were stills of it in Fangoria and all this other stuff. And they tracked down a lead from Crystal Lake Memories, where basically the special effects guy claimed that he had the uncut footage, and this guy was talking about, yeah, I went out to his house and viewed it. So the guys who produced this set got in contact with him, and he's like, yeah, I have it. So they arranged to go out there and pick it up, and they got this VHS from, I think it was 1981, and it had all the uncut footage, but it had aged and degraded so much that it started sticking together. So they had to bake this cassette in an oven to get the reels to pull apart. and they were able to transfer it, and from what I understand, the quality is supposed to be really, really phenomenal. So, the first 7,000 people who ordered this set got 2 limited edition lithographs, which I'm really excited to look at. This is not supposed to release until next Tuesday, but because I pre-ordered it on day 1, Shout Factory is really good about giving people who pre-order stuff early their stuff about a week, sometimes 2 weeks in advance. So I got my shipping notification on Friday, and I'm taking this whole week off for my birthday, and to find out that this was coming today, I've been anticipating this and so excited about this all weekend. So I want to do a really cool unboxing video, hopefully it's cool, for those of you who might be interested to see what this is. And the first thing you notice, this box is huge for a Blu-ray set, but that's because they ship the lithographs in tubes. So they put it all together. And cut that open. And pull this open. Okay, so the first thing we have here, oh, this is nice packaging. I'll have to show you guys the inside of this. It's really cool. So the first thing we have is the actual box set, and I love that freaking artwork. It's like, it's basically Jason through the ages, and it wraps around, so it has every iteration of Jason that's ever been on film. Okay, and then you have all the films finally on their own disc, which I'll open that up and show that to you guys too. And that's been something that was kind of people have been complaining about, is that the original releases, like I think it was the first 4 films, maybe. I think it was the first 4 films had their own disc, and then like 5 and 6 were on a disc, 7 and 8 were on a disc, Jason Goes to Hell and X were on a disc, and then Freddy vs. Jason, the new Friday the 13th, had their own unique disc. So it's really cool to have all these. The spines have all the original theatrical poster artwork on them, which is really cool. We'll open this here in a second. This here is assumably the lithographs, but check out this insert. I almost want to keep this. You got the Scream Factory logo and the Friday the 13th Deluxe Edition printed on the actual cardboard. That, to me, is freaking ridiculously cool. And I love little details like this. And it shows the passion that this company actually goes to deliver for fans of the franchises who pay, to have these sets. Little details like that just blow me away. So I'm going to keep this box because that's just, to me, that is going above and beyond. So we'll go ahead and we'll close this up. And let's get to the goodies. You know what? We'll save this for last. We'll go ahead and we'll pry open this set real quick. It's like, don't use a knife. It's like, don't worry, I am a professional. Down the seam. Okay. I am just beyond stoked for this. So the first thing is the quality of the box itself. It's a little flimsy. It's not quite as built up nice as what the Halloween box set was. this whole thing here with the features, it does come off. So we'll pop that off. I keep these. I usually try to take the glue off and then I find a way to stash them inside. The only thing is that you gotta be careful with the glue because sometimes it's a little bit too sticky and ends up damaging the artwork. But I was able to fix that. So I'll just kind of go through what the the killer special features are. So you have new 4K scans from the original camera negatives for Friday the 13th, both versions. That includes the uncut, Part 2, Part 3, including a new transfer to 3D version. Now, this is something that fans have been wanting for eons. So, during the 80s, there was kind of like this little resurgence of the 3D boom. And you had Friday the 13th 3D, you had Jaws 3D. I think My Bloody Valentine was in 3D. And it was the old anaglyph 3D. So you had the red and the blue lens, and it didn't really look that great, you know. And with the advent of 3D televisions, which I go back and forth in my head whether those are worth the money or not. You know, 3D is kind of a gimmick. There are instances where 3D is actually really, really cool. But the televisions themselves cost, they cost a little bit too much, in my opinion. And then you have to have a pair of active shutter glasses, which are not cheap. And, you know, active shutter technology has been around for a while. Actually, Sega did active shutter technology with their 8-bit video game system. I actually have the glasses, you know. So it's not that the technology itself is new, but it's just making it viable for the HD environment and keeping it wireless. So it's costly, but I've watched a couple films on the 3D television. Avatar was one of them, and Prometheus was the other one. And it was admittedly really, really cool, but myself, I can't justify spending the money on a 3D television to only watch a handful of films where I feel the 3D would really benefit it. But the old box set that came out did have Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D, but it was anaglyph and it came with the glasses. And the presentation was okay, but the transfer to film was horrible. It had dirt, it had scratches, consistency between shots just wasn't there, and it was a pretty poor transfer. So, excuse me, I haven't slept well all weekend just because I've been doing a lot of stuff. So, I don't have the Rona. Don't worry about that. But anyway, getting back to it. So like I said, you have 4K transfers of both versions of Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, including the 3D version, and the final chapter, which is Part 4. There's 2K scans from the Enter Positive, Jason Goes to Hell, with high-def inserts on the unrated version. There's new audio commentaries, new interviews with Sean S. Cunningham, which is the original creator. And actually, I think he was the original director. The creator thing's still kind of up in the air. Kane Hodder, who played Jason for... God, he was Jason from Part 7 through Jason X. And I've actually met him. He is a beast of a man, but he's actually really cool. The top two. There's a 60-page booklet in here with a new essay. All kinds of stuff. There's documentaries, theatrical trailers. They got the Scream Queen's Horror Heroines Exposed, which is a really cool documentary if you've never seen it. Slice and Dice, the slasher film Forever, has Corey Feldman in it, which if you remember he was in Part 4. Also from Part 4 is Crispin Glover doing his crazy little janky dance. So that's what I love about horror films is you don't realize there's a lot of big names that got their start in horror. So like Jamie Lee Curtis started in Halloween. Johnny Depp was Friday the 13th. Kevin Bacon was in Friday the 13th Part 1. Now granted, he was in National Lampoon's Animal House, but his part really wasn't any of significance in that film. So Friday the 13th Part 1 was actually like Kevin Bacon's first significant role in any film. And it's really, really cool. I think I would say Neve Campbell, but Neve Campbell... I don't know if The Craft was her first major film, which I wouldn't call horror, but I'd call it kind of like teen thriller, whatever. They did a remake of it recently called Legacy that I don't want to watch, but I'm going to watch anyways. I'm getting completely off track. Back to this box set. So now that we've pulled the side art off, you can see here where you got Sackcloth Jason from part 2, and then it kind of evolves here around into the different Jasons, including Zombie Jason from parts 3 through 8. Is part 9 on here? No. No. Part 9. Part 9's over here. Yeah. Then you come over here, and you have Jason Goes to Hell. You have the mask with the slashes on it from Freddy vs. Jason. And then, of course, you have the new Jason mask from Friday the 13th Part 2009. That's pretty cool, too. I love that artwork. With the Jason mask with the blood on it. That's pretty sweet. That's actually from Friday the 13th, final chapter. That's what that's supposed to signify whenever Tommy hits him in the head and puts the gash in. Let's go ahead. Let's pull these things out of here. And let's see. Okay. So we'll just start at the top, work our way down. Oh yeah, they have the original theatrical artwork on them. So there's part 1. Looks like maybe the disc also have theatrical artwork on them. And I want to see something here. What's this? There's alternate artwork. I was not aware of this. There's alternate artwork. So that's another thing that Shout Factory does is on the new horror stuff, they'll commission somebody to do new artwork, but then they'll have the original theatrical artwork on the reverse side. So all my Shout Factory stuff, I've actually flipped the artwork where it's appropriate because I like having the original stuff. But I was not aware that they were going to have two-sided. So that is pretty cool. We'll go ahead and we'll just go through the rest of the disc and see if this actually holds true. And what I like is that these are clear cases. I originally heard they were going to be black, like the Halloween series, which for the Halloween movies, the black works, but I don't want to have like just jet black going across my display case. So to have the clears actually kind of nice. We have Friday the 13th Part 2. Here again, the original poster. Yes, so it looks like all the discs are going to have the original poster artwork on them, which is pretty cool. This one also has the alternate artwork, which isn't quite as cool as the first film. I mean, that's pretty bland. It's like, ooh, we have, what, scary words? And the thing of it was is that, you know, Friday the 13th came at just the right time. So a lot of people say that Halloween started the slasher series, which is kind of true. It's kind of not. I think Black Christmas is actually the original quote-unquote slasher film, but Halloween got more attention because I think Halloween was better done than Black Christmas. Also, you had Jamie Lee Curtis, and you know the whole Final Girl thing finally came through, which actually carried through your three major 80s horror franchises. So Jamie Lee Curtis was your final girl in Halloween. Adrienne King was your final girl on Friday the 13th, and then Heather Langenkamp was your final girl in A Nightmare on Elm Street. You know, the heroine survived, which was actually really cool. And you know, a lot of people think that the horror genre kind of is misogynistic and it tries to portray as women as being stupid and, you know, like, oh, I should be running upstairs when I should be going through the front door. And, 80s horror does have its tropes, and it is kind of sexist. Some of it can be pretty racist, but films like this, where they empower women, to be the final girl, to defeat the villain, whenever, at the end of Friday the 13th Part 1, whenever she freaking chops off Mrs. Voorhees' head, that is such, it's corny as fuck, but it's a powerful moment in film, like, this woman finally realizes that, and that's the thing, Betsy Palmer being a villain was like so mind-blowing, because she had always portrayed like these nice, sweet people in her earlier career. So for her to be the villain and the original killer in the Friday the 13th series was just, and the thing of it is, especially with Nancy in the Friday the 13th series, Nightmare on Elm Street series, is these women aren't just lucky, they're smart, they survive. So, I think that's kind of a thing that gets overlooked. And that's what I really loved about Scream, was that Sidney Prescott was a smart final girl, and she's, Neve Campbell has carried that series, and they're coming out with Scream 5, which she confirmed she's going to be part of. So these films get some shit, and rightfully so. They're corny, and every film has to be bloodier and dumber than the last. And by the time you get to Jason Takes Manhattan, it's just like, what am I watching? And you gotta have boobs and all that stuff. But a lot of these films, the first film was about the final girl. Rising up, facing her fears head on and overcoming them, and surviving because she's awesome, So keep that in mind whenever you watch some of these older horror films, It wasn't always about women being stupid, It wasn't the horrible trash that a lot of it is now. Let's go back. Friday the 13th Part 3. I'm guessing this has to be a 3D Blu-ray where it just automatically defaults to the, yeah, it's got the Blu-ray 3D marking on the disc. Which, this is cool. This alternate art is really nice. I like that. It's kind of a CGI thing. Not really. I wouldn't say CGI, but it's hand-drawn artwork. And I think that looks really, really cool. And for those of you who aren't familiar, Friday the 13th, Part 3 is when Jason got the iconic hockey mask. Because in the first film, he was only in it for the last minute when he jumps out of the lake and pulls the final girl out of the water. Part 2 was Sackcloth Jason. Part 3 is when he finally got the iconic mask. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which honestly was supposed to be the end of the series. I think Paramount had just kind of gotten sick with it, and he wanted to end it, so this was supposed to be the end. So whenever Tommy kills Jason, that was supposed to be the end of Jason. And a lot of fans thought that that was going to be the start of Tommy Jarvis being Jason. And God bless him, I would have loved to have seen Corey Feldman be a killer like that in films. Like, there was so much potential for that Tommy Jarvis character, and of course, as we know in parts 5 and 6, that's not what happened. But that ending was so perfectly creepy, and, I think if they would have kept Corey Feldman as Tommy, it could have done some better things for his career. I know Corey Feldman gets a lot of crap, but I personally think he's a good dude. He's a little eccentric, and if you grew up the way he did, you'd be eccentric too, but I like Corey Feldman. He seems like a personal guy. He's actually on my bucket list of somebody I want to meet at a convention. I just like to sit down, shoot the shit with him, talk about life, So, here's the alternate artwork for that. And again, like I said, if any of these discs do not feature the theatrical artwork on the actual disc, I will show you. But for now, just assume that what's on the cover is what's on the disc. Part 5, I don't think very many people have seen this poster. That was the original artwork. And I think the one people are most familiar with, it's like Friday the 13th Part 5 in black letters, and it's red, you know, and it says A New Beginning on it. It doesn't have any actual images on it. Nope, there it is. So see this, that's the Friday the 13th Part 5 artwork that I remember. But that's, I don't think that's the original. Tom Cheeky, if you're watching this, confirm this for me, because I trust your opinion more than I do mine, and you would know. So that's the alternative artwork. 5 was actually kind of the first letdown. 5 didn't have Jason in it for real. Jason was a fake Jason. Spoiler alert there, right? Part 6, Jason Lives, which had the Alice Cooper song in it, Man Behind the Mask. This one does not have alternate artwork on it, so I'm not gonna flip it and show you, which is kind of a letdown. I was hoping there'd be something different, but oh well. 7. 7 gets a lot of crap, but I really, really enjoyed it. I love the whole, like, for lack of a better explanation, Carrie versus Jason idea about it. And a lot of people think it's 7 where the series started going downhill. I personally think it's 8. I thought 7 was a very strong entry. And parts of this were actually cribbed from the original, or one of the original, Freddy vs. Jason scripts that were floating around. So the concept of Freddy vs. Jason had been around for, God, 20, 25 years before the film actually got made. And that it all had to do with movie rights to the characters, but there were numerous scripts. And I remember that Part 7 was originally supposed to be Freddy vs. Jason. So I think this was 1988. Yes, 1988. And we didn't get Freddy vs. Jason until 2002? I'll have to check. Again, this does not have any alternate artwork on it. Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. It was just bad. The plot made no sense. How the hell do you sail a boat from a lake out to the freaking ocean and end up in New York? Like, I never quite understood that. And the whole plot was disjointed. And for a movie that's supposed to be Jason Taking Manhattan, he was only in Manhattan for like 15 minutes. And the rest of the film was on a boat. And I recently read that whenever they pitched Part 8, that the director said that he either wanted to do Jason on a boat or Jason in a new place. He wanted to take Jason out of Crystal Lake. And Paramount said okay to both concepts, so he combined them together. So you have Jason on a boat and then Jason in Times Square. Such a letdown. Such a letdown. I want to tell you why this is a letdown. Even though this doesn't have any alternate artwork, there's the inside of the case, which is a pretty cool shot of, you know, Jason in Times Square. Letdown. And I can understand why. So the original artwork, the original poster for Jason Takes Manhattan was the famous I Love New York imagery. And Jason was slashing through the heart. And the New York Tourist Commission sued Paramount over that artwork. And they won So Paramount had to change it with Jason looming over the New York skyline. Lost opportunity for them to have made that the alternate artwork on that, because I would have flipped that bitch. It would have been done right now. Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. I recently got, I'm not going to call it an online argument. I don't like to argue films. I'm a fan, and I'll debate them. But film is art, and art is subjective to the interpreter. So the way that I interpret a film, it's not going to be the same way that, other people interpret films. I thought this was hot garbage. I remember seeing this in the film with my friends, in the theater with my friend Scott. My mom dropped us off. We watched it. It was just bogus. And that's the thing that bothers me is, excuse me, a lot of these horror franchises get to a point where they try to demystify the killer. Jason drowned in the lake, and he came back and killed the counselors, because they abandoned him. But this film tries to introduce a bunch of freaking mystic bullshit involving the Necronomicon, and Jason isn't a person, he's a demon, he transfers bodies and all this shit, and eating his heart, and, I just never got it. Never ever got it. I thought the gore was too much. It was over the top. I understand these movies are supposed to be gross, and they're supposed to have a bunch of blood and splatter, but gore for the sake of gore, I don't know. I can't stand torture porn like Hostel. Fuck that movie. But, yeah. Definitely my least favorite of the whole series. I thought it was too much of a departure. The end was cool. Spoiler alert. It's the Freddy vs. Jason teaser where Freddy's glove comes out of the ground and pulls the metal mask down. Okay, this one does have alternate artwork. So it's the same art, just different flavor text on it, which is kind of cool. This one does have the uncut version, which I used to have on, I think, VHS, whenever it first came out. And it adds, I think there's like, maybe an extra minute in it. To be honest with you, it's not that much. And it doesn't change much in the movie. I think there's some extra gore. Oh, no, there's 3 extra minutes. My bad. So it does add more. But I'll watch it, like, when I have absolutely nothing better to do. And I've watched Showgirls for the 15th time, and I just get bored of it. That's when you watch Friday the 13th, Jason Goes to Hell. Jason X. I was in college, and I had this movie a year before it came out. It was all over the internet. There was a finished, technically it was a work print, but it was a finished version of it, and it had leaked, and I had it, and I watched the shit out of it. And I love Jason X, because it's such a trope to take a horror icon and shoot him into space. They did it with Leprechaun. They were going to do it with Michael Myers for part 6. I think that was actually pitched by John Carpenter, because he was just so sick of them ruining his character and running Michael Myers into the ground, that they approached him. He's like, yeah, let's take Michael Myers and we'll put him in a rocket and shoot him into space. No, there's never been a Freddy in space. I don't think they've even alluded to a Freddy in space. But Jason in space was awesome, and I loved it. I loved Uber Jason. I liked the way that Uber Jason was created. Like, medical technology backfired and created this freaking almost unstoppable serial killer. And it was stupid, but it was a lot of fun. What's this? There is... They have it so that you can flip the artwork, but it's exactly the same. All they changed was the back. So, I don't understand why they would do that. But they did. But I love it. And I put it up there with, part 6, part 7, part 4, where it was just fun to watch. It was so ridiculous. It was fun. I think 4, overall, 4 really wasn't ridiculous. I think 4 was a very well structured and acted 80s horror film. I mean, it stuck to its tropes, but 4 felt really dark, and I loved it. And then 6, whenever they resurrected Jason, was kind of like, a lot of people hate zombie Jason, but I love zombie Jason, and I love Kane Hodder. So, 6 was cool for me. Well, actually, no. Kane Hodder was in 7. C.J. Graham was Jason in part 6. But, yeah, Jason Lives was great, and I loved it. So, I think I'm in the minority who thinks that Jason X was one of the better entries. Then we have Freddy vs. Jason, which wasn't too bad. So this came out in 2003. Okay, so that would have been 15 years after part 7. That's a long time. So the story behind Freddy vs. Jason is that, like I said, the concept for it had been around for numerous years before the film got made. There was numerous scripts, but it was just getting the rights to one or the other. You had 2 film houses. Paramount had Friday the 13th, and then New Line Cinema had Freddy. And New Line Cinema is part of Dimension and all that freaking Harvey Weinstein bullshit. Dude needs to burn. But so whenever Paramount put the rights for Friday the 13th up for sale, New Line grabbed it, and then they were able to finally make Freddy vs. Jason. And this was actually Robert Englund's last appearance as Freddy on film. He did recently resurrect Freddy in an episode of The Goldbergs, I think's the name of the show. This does have the teaser artwork, which I always loved. I always liked this better than the one that showed their faces. So that's kind of a nice little touch. There's nothing special about this disc. This one and the Friday the 13th remake, there's nothing new to them at all. Same with Jason X. The only New Line release that's different is going to be Jason Goes to Hell with the uncut. But, yeah. Jason X, Freddy vs. Jason, Friday the 13th are the exact same Blu-rays that have been in circulation for eons. And then, like I said, we have the remake. This does include the killer cut. I saw this with my friend Scott and Janielle the day it released. I didn't mind it, It was okay for Jason being brought into the 21st century, but here again, it was nothing really special. And this also has the alternate artwork, which is nice. And then we get into the bonus disc. Friday the 13th collection bonus material, which is 2 discs full of stuff. I'll just go ahead and read. Special features is a new interview with composer Harry Manfredini, new location featurette, Return to Crystal Lake, Making Friday the 13th, has the Friday the 13th Chronicles, Secrets Behind the Gore, has the Slice and Dice documentary, the Scream Queens documentary, Crystal Lake Victims Tell All, Tales from the Cutting Room Floor, Friday Artifacts and Collectibles, and a feature called Jason Forever. The Halloween box set also had a nice thing like that. So here's the book. Comes with it. Again, it's got that killer shot of Jason's mask. And it just kind of seems to be like what came with the Halloween box set. You know, you got stories and some photos and stuff like that from each part. So it looks to be a nice little, addition to this set. But here, showing the inside. That's clearly from the final chapter. Stuff like that. So, altogether, I gotta give this, the set itself, just presentation and amount of features and artwork and stuff like that. This is a solid 10. That's all there is to it. And I'm really looking forward to digging through this this upcoming week when I'm on vacation. So we'll put this off to the side. And, like I said, if you pre-ordered, you got limited edition artwork. A couple lithographs. Now, originally, there was only going to be 1,313 of these produced. But they decided to up it to 7,000. Just fine. Unfortunately, scalpers are going to get this and they're going to try to flip it and all that stuff, which makes them the scummiest scum that was ever scum. You shouldn't buy something with hopes of profiting from it. And I know that might be a polarizing statement, but, damn it. People who buy this stuff want it because they're fans. But they were 2 foot by 3 foot posters. So this first one will stand up here. So that's the first one, which is all the Jasons through the ages. Which, look at that. That is absolutely gorgeous. High quality stock. I love that they ship it in a tube. That's getting framed. Definitely getting framed. Move that up. Okay. And I don't know if this came with all of them, but I think this was extremely limited too. Is the 40th anniversary poster here. I'll hold it back. I know it's kind of glossy and it's hard to see here in the light, but basically it's just it's a rendition of Jason jumping out of the lake at the end of Friday the 13th Part 1. I'm also going to get that frame too. See there, it says 40th anniversary. So that's a really nice piece of artwork. Oh shit, I didn't notice this. You got like Jason's mom, you got Okay. So I just noticed this. There's some like little trinkets here. So you got like dead body over here. You got Crazy Walter, who says, "You're doomed, you're all doomed," right? More dead bodies, dude hanging out of the tree. There's Mrs. Voorhees. And it also has the reflection, Jason jumping out of the water there on the bottom. So that, again, really, really great piece of artwork right there. And we'll we'll get these rolled up. So overall, initial impression, like I said, everything in this box set is fantastic. Tons of features, a lot of things that fans have been clamoring for. I told you about the lost footage from part 2. The fact that part 3 is in real 3D is a big deal. And that everything has its own disc. So, you know, your transfers should be nice and good because they'll have better bit rates. And one last thing I did forget. Part 6, Friday the 13th Part 6, has long had an issue with the color timing on it. It makes Crystal Lake look like somebody puked in it. It's a horrible, horrible green color. This one is supposed to correct the color timing so it's like the original theatrical print. So, thanks for watching. Hopefully, somebody enjoyed this. I know I did. And, you know, if you love Friday the 13th, track this down. If you have the original metal set, get rid of it. Just sell it. It's not going to be worth the money it was because of this. I don't think there's anything super special about it except for the headband and the patch. But as far as features go, as far as I can tell, it's exactly the same, and it's actually, you know, missing things that this has in it. So, I know what I'm doing this week. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and, you know, if people like this, I might do further unboxing videos or something. I'm people know I do the beer thing. That got shut down for a while, but it's coming back. I have a friend that I'm going to be doing that with, but I might make a personal channel too and just, well, it is my personal channel, but I might pimp it out a little bit more. So, anyways, take care, guys.